All right, now we're in this section of our podcast called What's on Trial, where we take a movie or show or whatever, we put it on trial. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is from our podcast, the section in our podcast called What's on Trial. Just check out our podcast.
Yeah.
But today we're going to be discussing the Planet of the Apes trilogy, the good ones, the newer ones.
Yeah.
So Rise, Dawn, and War. So we're just going to go through and we're going to talk about them, give our verdicts on them, include some notes, whatever.
Two of us have seen them. One of us has not.
Yeah, Ryan hasn't seen them before. Before we all watched them together.
He's the one in the hat.
I hadn't seen him.
I'm wearing the white hat.
I hadn't seen him in a while. So, yeah, it'll be fun. All right. I guess we'll just jump into it.
Dude.
So, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. It's what, 2011, right?
Yeah,
2011. James Franco. Who's the director? Let's pull it up.
It's like I remember after we watched it, it's like his only credit.
Which is pretty impressive because it is a good movie. That's one thing on rewatch, like a lot better than I remember. Not even because I thought it was bad, just the sequels are amazing. Yeah. And Rise has like the most humans, and it's the most like normal, familiar world. So it's like when you think of the Planet of the Apes, you're like, yeah, it's like the setup one, you know?
And it has like more of those like eye-opening, like, oh shit moments, like throughout, like multiple, like with the spear through the car, like Caesar riding the ape. I remember all those, but then like those all happen within like 45 minutes of each other, and Tristan was saying,
they hit when you watch them. Like,
this is always my least favorite one. Still like holding it to a high standard, but going back, I'm like, damn, that really I felt like the first time I watched that again, it was really good.
Yeah, directed by Rupert Wyatt.
The homie.
Yeah, I think it was the Weekly Planet. They were talking about it, which is funny that they're talking about it at the same time we are. We're doing all three in one, though.
Yeah. Step the fuck up.
Aussie bastards. Yeah. But they were talking about how this was originally supposed to be a movie about, like, monkeys, and then they were like, why don't you just do it on Planet of the Apes? Like, base it on that, kind of. So I feel like that kind of helped it out, though, because the fact that it came from an original idea and then, like, if they would have started with a reboot to that, then I don't think we would have gotten this movie. And I think taking an original idea and then blending it with that universe, it's really smart, and it came out like really solid.
Yeah. And it's crazy it's crazy. Like, that's movie fucking 13 years old and it looks amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Like, it's crazy how good it looks. It's real old. I mean, for those standards.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, like, I can't decide, and this might be something we need to figure out after we've talked about all of them, but, like, I think this one might have the best human stuff. I mean, it has the most human stuff, so it's kind of unfair, but, like, James Franco's really good. His girlfriend's not bad. Yeah, the dad is pretty good. All the, like, scientists and stuff, like, they're all playing it, like, really straight, and I like that. Like, I think
there's no quirky one in the corner.
I'd agree it's the best. Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to talk about all three of them briefly. I mean, like, the second one has some good human stuff. I think it's definitely not bad by any means. And the third one's very weak, I think, as far as human stuff.
Yeah, I think
the first one's, like, almost just the most believable.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's just, like, okay, like, the bad human is just, like, a business guy. Like, he's just, like... And then, but, like, in the second one, it's just, like, the bad guy's like, oh, we're just going to go to war. Because I feel like, that's somewhat reasonable, but at the same time, like, it's also reasonable to be like, let's just get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's, like, I know we joked a lot while watching, it's just like, when are these humans going to learn? It's like, oh, they're just animals. It's like, they're obviously fucking not just animals.
True. Yeah. I mean, after they came down with their parade and sat on horses and spoke, I would have been like, yeah, we're not going to fuck with them. Yeah. Like, we will find an alternative to the dam. But at the same time, like, Gary Oldman is really good, and the main guy, I can't remember his name.
Malcolm is in the movie.
Yeah. He's...
Dewey and...
Yeah, like, his stuff is good, because I think that's, like, very much, like, he's trying to be, like, he's trying to be, like, the hero.
He's very driven, and it's a believable...
You could say he's in the middle.
It's a believable... That's a good joke.
I think he's very much
Malcolm in the middle
the main character of the movie, too. For better or worse. I think if some people like, I don't know what like screen time comparison from Malcolm to Caesar is, but I'm sure I bet Malcolm edges him out a little bit.
Yeah.
Pause.
But I think, I do like the first one because it is, and obviously they have more, but like even the prison guards and that are like, they're hateable, but it's not like,
like it's just like
that was a much more Caesar-driven story than some of the other ones. I know that may be a weird thing to say, but it like was
it's
like him gaining his crown back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's been doubt placed, and that was the other one was like obviously like he made all of them smart, and the other one was like he's like shot, he's risen from the dead, he's Jesus Christ, and this one's just like, not everybody trusts him, and he's getting thrown around by the humans. I'll be honest. So
I think overall,
it's Iron Man 3, bro.
Like the storytelling in Dawn is a little bit stronger than Rise, but Rise, just the human aspect of it, I think is probably the strongest. Just because I think what's his name, the guy that's a dick.
Draco, that guy?
No, in Dawn.
Oh, in Dawn.
Carver.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more like characterized, and he still plays an important role, but it's less like complex. Like you don't really, but I feel like there's not really characters like that in the first one, which is fine. Like not that he's a bad character in Dawn. It's just Rise. It's a more believable world, you know.
Yeah, I think that's like what in comparison to the other two, like on retrospect, I think that's what Rise really has going for it. Just because like I think once, and I mean obviously like they're movies about apes taking over the world. There has to be some sort of unbelievable. Yeah, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but I think Rise goes about it like
it's very realistic.
Yeah, like this all shit would happen.
It establishes information like very well. Like it builds upon it. Like this is what this drug is capable of. It hints at the virus like really well, and like
it ends with the plane, bro.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It builds really strongly, and it's a really really good introduction. I think if it would have never gotten a sequel, it would have been interesting to look back on it. Now that we have the sequels and we know where the story goes, it's dude.
No,
do you have the simian flu?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my god, it's interesting now to be like, most people are like, oh, it's the human one, but it's like, oh no, it's got good stuff.
And Caesar yelling no.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
It's a really good start, and like even just the fact that they set up base in like the Redwoods because that's where Caesar was taken to get his first glimpse of freedom. Like that's, I don't know, it's a really good setup.
And they foreshadow a lot, like throughout the entire movie. Like after seeing, you're like, oh fuck, like it's
yeah, it is.
Everything they do, they say they're going to do.
It's really strong, and I think it's just what I like about it on rewatch, and this goes for all of them, but Rise, since it was the first one, it's just like it's interesting to see a movie where everyone is taking it seriously, because not that I'm like, oh, Marvel ruined Hollywood, but like for blockbuster movies, that's not super common. Like even in like a Zack Snyder movie, like he'll still like throw in a joke or two or have character or lighthearted moments, but like they're pretty bleak and they're pretty like all the characters and
there's
actors,
not the quirky scientist.
Yeah,
there's not that.
They're playing it straight, and like I like that a lot. It's really refreshing.
It was really good, and also just they played well. Like the world, like San Francisco, like police department being like, "What the fuck is going on?" You know what I mean? Like where they get to the bridge and everything, like they make some mistakes, but at the same time, I remember seeing people point that I can't remember exactly what it was. Like, why would they do that? It's like I don't know, maybe because they're getting attacked by monkeys, like an entire army, like coming from above, below, and right at them.
Right, and I think it's honestly one of the most believable fights between humans and monkeys, because they have no idea that these monkeys are smart. These monkeys just got really smart really quick and freed all in the same like 24 hours. So they're like,
and they're not. You could argue that like they're almost not really trying to like kill them. They're just trying to be like,
we're going to the forest.
Yeah. It's like, hey guys, like what the fuck is going on? Like let's just point the guns at them and maybe they'll be like run away or something.
Only one human was ever intentionally killed, and that was when Caesar allowed Koba to fuck up that. Well, I guess you could argue like Buck, but like they had a helicopter, which R.I.P. Buck, by the way. All the gorillas. R.I.P. to every single one of his gorilla bodyguards.
Buck ain't have to do all that, though. He literally jumped out in front of the bullets And I was like, I'll take out this helicopter. He could have just stayed hidden.
Yeah, I really like the connection between like James Franco and Caesar, and I like that. It is a really solid. Honestly, if I were to sum up like all of these movies, it would just be like they have no right to be like this good. Like they're just really strong movies, like genuinely.
Yeah.
Like you kind of expect them to just be like bro movies, where it's like monkeys fight, but like they're really well written. Like, and I like that. The first one does it well, where it's like almost like coincidence plays a large role, but it's like believable. Where it's like the coincidence of the Alzheimer's drug being developed and tested at the same time Caesar is getting like angry. He's growing resentment towards like humans in captivity. It's just like it's really well written, and I think that's awesome.
And one thing I love that they did, not that like anybody didn't know this if you'd seen it, but like looking back, like the ending between Caesar and James Franco, like is absolutely sets it perfectly for like Caesar's character. Like because he easily could have died, and they could have done that, or he could have been like shot, and then like Caesar see it like a slow motion turn around, like, and now he's pissed at the humans and has that resentment. But no, it was like a legitimate like Caesar is home. And it was like a happy ending for those two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was like a James Franco's like, all right, like you guys like, okay,
like,
that's fair.
He's like, I just saw that. I'm not going to argue with you. You're good.
Yeah. Like it was like, and they did the like head to head moment. That was cool. Like it was
cool.
There's so many ways that you think like Hollywood would like have him get shot down. Like not to repeat myself, and Caesar see it, and then he gets mad, but it didn't.
It's really good.
Caesar had a goal. He accomplished it with 0 casualties for the most part.
Yeah. The only thing and not that it's really a negative thing, because I think you couldn't really bring James Franco back for the sequel. And I like what they did with Caesar going back to his house. Yeah. Like that's all good. I just think like maybe, and I don't know, because if you do this, it weakens Rise. But if they make their relationship like so personal and so connected between Franco. James, and Caesar, where it's like, they're like so connected for the first half of Rise. So then not that it makes it less believable, but like it's just like I feel like if they wouldn't have shown them being like so close, or shown more of Caesar being like longing for freedom in that first half, then it just makes it a little bit better, a little bit more believable. Because I think just especially at like in Dawn, where it's like, okay, why is he like just completely removed from humans? Like I don't know.
I think it's just setting up his complete morals. Like I think.
No, I agree.
Like his morals are like, yeah, like I fuck with humans, but like I still want to like be like a monkey. Like I don't want to fucking. That's a crazy.
I think it's really
like that is like it's a balance of two, where he's just like yeah, I don't believe in like violence against humans, but like I still want to be like my own kind. Like this, like I think he's like. I think in Rise, like there's several moments where he's like, yeah, I'm not really supposed to be here. Like I'm supposed to be with these other monkeys. And I think when he's like in the prison cell, like I think, or like in like the zoo exhibit or whatever you want to call it, I think that's when he kind of realizes it. But
I think he also gets the opportunity once he sees that he's able to make the rest of them smart, because he wouldn't fit in either world, and he made the one world fit to him.
Right. Yeah. And I think
you know what I mean?
I think that's a perfect setup for like his character, because like in the second and third ones, like he sticks to that. Like
right. And I'm not saying anything. I just think like, because I agree that is his like moral compass and like where he stands on shit. But I just feel like they could have done a tiny bit more to show his longing for like freedom, or longing to be with apes, in like that first half of Rise. I just feel like they spend a lot of time with him just developing a relationship with James, which I think is important at all. I'm not saying they should cut that. Like, I just think, like, have maybe a couple more scenes where Caesar's young.
They have that scene where, like, they have him in the stroller and they're going by, like, the monkey exhibit. Yeah. They could just make that scene longer where he's just more, like, confused or something.
Yeah. There's something like that.
You could get creative like that, where he's just like, what the fuck? Like,
where it helps sell his, like, longing for freedom a little bit more, and feels less like a reaction to him being in the sanctuary. Like, I'm not saying that. That's because I know that's obviously not like the entire reason he's longing for freedom. It's just like one more scene maybe would have. But
he also finds out like moments before, like a day or two before that like his past, like he had no idea about anything. He just like thought he was born in that house, and then all in one day they're like, yeah, your mom was killed whenever you were born, even though she was smart, and now you're smart, because that was the first time he realized he was like above other apes. He hadn't really had interaction enough to realize like we look alike, but like I can do the alphabets frontwards and backwards. You don't know what the alphabets are, like type of deal. Which is where he like morphs his own world. Like he kind of like forces it upon the ape. Well, no, it sounds like I'm making him a bad guy. But you know what I mean? He like forces like this intelligence upon all of them because he needs an equal.
Right, and I agree. I still think though, like just like Ryan was saying, like one more scene at like the zoo or whatever, then it kind of brings everything a little bit more full circle because he's like, oh, I am smart. I'm smarter than these guys.
In the pet line, whenever he does the dog, he's like, am I a pet? Yeah. And then they're like, no, you're not a pet, Caesar. He's like, what the fuck am I then?
See, that scene is really good. I just feel like one more thing like that earlier on would have helped a little bit. Just because there is so much in that, like montage almost of like them just bonding. Just like one or a couple moments where it shows like a little bit more longing for freedom and stuff. But
because I'm sure he thought he had, not to stay on that topic. I get what you're saying. We were agreeing on it, but
and it's such a
he didn't know he could long for it. Almost. You know what I mean? Like he was swinging on the fucking thing. He was able to get the jars. Like he had a forest in the house.
Right,
like
that's true.
He built the house up since he was like before he could walk. So.
Yeah, that is true. That's such a minuscule complaint. I don't mean to like
no. I know
that makes it bad at all because it's written so right. It's a great movie.
Absolutely.
But Dawn's
the best fucking openings. The first movie I ever saw in the theaters by myself. I remember sitting there like in the center, and then like his fucking eyes. I'm like, oh shit.
The lightning, dude. Oh my god.
And the fact it starts like right before that, like connecting with the plane, just like the other one ends.
Yeah.
Like it's all. What do different directors like? How'd they like pull it off?
I think like it's so. Rise is really really good. I think Dawn is better just because it has everything that Rise has that's good, but it just adds a little bit more like visual style, a little bit better CGI, a little bit better setting.
Well, and I think it definitely benefits from being a sequel because I think Rise is very much an origin story movie, and I think origin story movies just in general they have a very not a low like. They have a ceiling, I think. Yeah. Just because you have to devote a certain amount of time to like setting shit up. And I think
it's a lot of build up.
And that kind of hurt like as overarching plot. Dawn can just gets right in there like right away. Like it wastes no fucking time.
Fighting grizzly bears, jumping like with a spear from like 20 feet.
It's so awesome. Like I think just Matt Reeves coming in and adding like a little bit of visual style and just setting like because we know from like Matt Reeves the Batman that obviously the dude is like he's a good eye not just for like cinematography and stuff but like little setting details. And like it's just like I think he came into this and he was like oh it's set after like the world is kind of ended, let's make it look like that, let's make it look unique and give it such a identity with the setting. And it's just that and like the music in Dawn it's really good. And I don't know, it just gets knocked up a little bit and you're like, man, I would have been fine if it was on par with Rise because Rise is really good, but it's like just slightly better where you're like, okay, this is awesome. Like,
one thing, I don't mean to take the conversation back, but I'm going to give it a compliment here. Because you guys were talking about the best human movie. I do agree the first one, it has the most. But one thing I do like about these movies, going back and watching them, and it just plays so well with how they should do it. And like what they're able to do, I guess, like with the time jumps and the fact that like it's killing off humans, the virus, like it really puts like an extra magnifying glass on Caesar and the monkeys are the main character. These motherfuckers don't last. Like I said, Caesar is here at the beginning of every movie. You know what I mean? And like you can hint back at like James Franco. That's awesome. He had an impact, but he's gone. He's gone. And then like Malcolm is like he's gone. Like they're like these apes. This is their world now. And then Woody Harrelson doesn't. We'll get into all that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think he definitely adds like an overarching feeling of just like doom for the humans, where it's just they're just like they kind of know that they're fucked a little bit. They're just like, can we just have power for a little bit so we can like live the rest of our lives pretty happy? And
the fact Caesar's not sitting there with a picture of James Franco and him in his little crib or whatever. I was like, you could have done something. I guess you could have worked that in. It wouldn't have been bad. But like Caesar's like, mission accomplished. I got what I needed there. Like I'm getting. It's about the monkeys.
He's also like
apes together strong.
It's so like it's crazy how well written it is, because it doesn't have any right to be. But like Caesar being like, yeah, I don't want the humans to be here. It's like, I don't want them to be. I would be fine with all the humans dying, but I don't want a war because I don't want any apes to die.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's such a good, it says so much about his character, and it's so believable, and it shows like his wisdom. And it's like, yeah, that's actually a really valid stance. And then it's just, and then like the scene where the humans came back or whatever, and Koba's like, what are you gonna do? He's like, we need to show them strength. And he's like, we will. And they're like, how are they going to show them strength? And then they're just marching through San Francisco. You're like, dude, that's awesome. Like, because it's something you don't think of. And I love when movies do that, where it's like,
you're bucked on a little bit.
Yeah, like it's something that you don't predict but makes sense. And this is another really good example, like Rise, where coincidence is like written in, but it's believable. Like Koba, through his past, his experiences, has a different perspective, and it's understandable.
Yeah, understandable is a key.
To a certain degree. Obviously, it passes that degree, but like even just in the movie, like Koba sees that they're building shit. Like Koba sees them killing. Like Koba sees he's seen the worst of them.
So
while Caesar's like seeing the good. And like,
and then you add a layer of like miscommunication where it's like Koba didn't get the chance to tell Caesar about that stuff.
Yeah,
like if they would have had that conversation, maybe Caesar would have been like, okay, yeah, let's fucking evacuate or something.
And manipulating his son, I think that was a fun little thing I appreciated more, because you're like, oh, it's gonna go bad, and it never goes too bad, but like. His son's like, what the? How do I? He's like, I don't fucking know what to do.
Right. Yeah. And it's such a well written. Like it gets complex, and to make a movie where it's like, yeah, there's an army of apes in the jungle and an army or a colony of humans. The humans want power. They have to clean up a dam, and the apes are hesitant about it. And then to make it where like it just gets like complex, and it's crazy how just one character from one side making one action really like sets the fate for the whole outcome. I don't know.
And also, like, Caesar is a badass, obviously. Like, I would run for my life if he even, like, looked my direction. But, like, the fact, like, he got shot once in the shoulder, and it's like, that motherfucker was down. He's a monkey. That was a human bullet. Like, so they had to heal his ass. So they said it's been a week, like, by the time, like, they actually get there. It's like they had, like, 2 days laying in the dirt. And then, like, 4 days of, like, getting there, and then a day getting back. And whenever he gets back, like, just, like, him walking through, like, he frees his homies first, which is good. Then he walks up, and everybody, like, does the double take. Like, wait, what the fuck? Like, God's back?
It's just, they build Caesar up to be, like, such a figure. And it's just, they do such a good job of that. Like, just him leading, like, a counter-revolution within Koba's ranks is just, like, so awesome. And, like, it's, God, it's so sick.
And kind of the thing one of us said when we were watching it, with Malcolm coming back towards the end, and he finds out they're planting all the C4 and everything. I remember, like, even this time going back, I'm like, you're grabbing the gun? Like, you know, you should at least let them know. And then, like, the more you think about it, you're like, there's no fucking way you're explaining the monkey-human conflict. Because, like, there's nothing he could have said that, like, oh, I've been talking to the good monkeys. Like, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? We're going to blow this shit up. Right. That was, like, it's funny that he, like, was there and he, like, was figuring out in his head, he's like, how am I going to say this? How am I going to say this? And it leads to him, like, not saying anything. He's like, I'm going to shoot you if you move. Like, the good monkey's fighting the bad monkey to take the bad monkey army to make it good, and then they'll leave.
To be honest, I don't think he would have shot them. I think they could have just called his bluff.
Probably.
Yeah. It's like he didn't have to, like, C4 himself. They could have just been like, we know you. You're not going to fucking shoot us. Like, there's no way after, like, 3 days in the forest with monkeys that you like the monkeys more
so
than
your
us.
Species.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah. It's so interesting, though, because it's like, ultimately, like, they all just want to protect what they have built in their society, because, like, the apes are just getting started. The humans are trying to save what they have, and, like, so both of them are, like, so fragile, so it just creates the situation where, like, a little bit of tension, like, it puts everything that they have in their society at risk. So it just makes tension so high that, like, it makes sense that just Koba is able to just shoot Caesar and be like, it was the humans, and that starts a war. And it's so easy for like the human side. I don't know. It's just,
if they wouldn't have brought the shaved head guy, I forget his name, from the beginning, because the movie starts out with him just shooting a fucking ape. Like that is like the initial like there was no contact, and the very first contact was like human kill ape.
Yeah, but I mean, like think about it though. Imagine if right before the end of the world you saw or heard a news story about like super smart apes like killing a bunch of cops and like fleeing into the woods. And then the world ends, and then you saw some super smart apes in the woods, you'd probably be like, holy fuck. Like, those legends were true.
Yeah.
I'm fighting for my life out here. Like,
yeah, because that was before, like, they had any idea that they were even, like, negotiable. What is that? Where, like, that you could talk to them and, like, you know.
So, yeah, you're just like, holy shit, I saw these guys kill it. So, like, even that, it's, like, believable initially. They shouldn't have brought him back.
That's the only thing, is that he never changes from the... But, the initial, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. That's where you're like, okay.
He hasn't seen any monkeys.
Yeah, you can find another engineer in the colony somewhere, another person that can help somewhere.
Even outside of the apes being smart, there's a fucking chimpanzee in the redwoods at San Francisco. That doesn't belong in the first place, and there's two of them talking to each other.
Yeah.
It's like every level of that is like odd.
Yeah.
So. I will say we are praising him, this movie. I will bring on my one complaint.
Yeah.
All right, bring it.
And it is just that I don't like the trope of like the main character dying, and then like we have to see this whole scenes where he's like, oh, he's coming back to health, and I don't, and it could just be a me thing, but I just really don't like that trope where it's just like we have to see these scenes of like, oh, he's weak and he's getting nursed back to health, and like he's not at full health. Like, I get the point of it for the story, like, oh, Caesar's dead, that gives the apes motivation, but like, I don't know, I feel like I don't know how I'd do it differently, but like I kind of wish we didn't have like those scenes of him being like, oh, like I don't think the movie ever tries to convince us that Caesar's dead necessarily.
Yeah, they never show him like
right.
You know.
But like at the same time, like I kind of wish we kind of jumped over, like time jumped for Caesar's point of view to where he's back. Like, I think you could have, like I said, I don't know how you do it, and it's just like a personal thing for me. I just don't like that trope. Like I don't like it in Black Panther. I don't like it in this.
I do think it's just because Caesar's so badass. I get what you're saying. They do that, but the two things that kind of saves it for me is the one, like you said, like where they don't like, they're never like, he's dead. You know what I mean? Like they yell he's dead, but like right after he kind of falls, it's like never like
the whole time,
oh, he's dead.
You know Koba's like staging it, and you're just like,
and then the other thing is like when Caesar does come back, it just, for me at least, and this like it's a personal thing, but like it just doesn't disappoint. Like all the apes doing the double take, you're like, oh, Dad's back.
And I think having. What I'm suggesting is like I think you don't rob yourself from that, but I just think just skipping over like just the oh, he's laying like he's like almost dead and they have to nurse him. I don't know. I just feels like that's a little bit of a waste of time, and it bogs down the pace a little bit. Yeah, I feel it's just like it
lets them show the son, the human world a little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah, like I think I'm fine with like the scene where like he's like weak and like his son comes and sees him. Like I like that. Like but like they have the scene where like the first scene, like when they get back to his house and he's weak, and like they have the scene where he's in the van and he's weak. And, like I don't know.
They could have sped that up a little bit. I get what you mean with that. I won't argue. I think
just because the
reason it's not bad for like Dawson and I, because like we saw this in like 2014. Since then, it's been that trope has been done several times.
Right.
But in our mind, it's like this was kind of before like Black Panther before. So it's like
that's fair.
And I also think this kind of does it a little bit better. I won't like defend it till my death, but
it's definitely just. I mean, tropes and cliches aren't bad. Like the thing that makes them bad is the overusage, and I think that's just because I've seen multiple of them.
Right.
Yeah.
At this point in time.
Yeah, I do. Because I get where you're coming from for sure, but I think it allows for like a lot of, I don't want to say easy, but it kind of is like an easy way to start the war and then like have Caesar be the underdog again, you know. So I feel like it makes sense at least. Like they might have been able to find a different way, but it makes
like
sense in a believable way.
It's not him getting like fake killed. It's just the whole like his next like the next 4 scenes. That's what like the focus of those next 4 scenes for him is.
I wonder. Part of me is like, So this is the only time, if I remember correctly, we truly full on get ape v human warfare with military like personnel on both sides. You know what I mean? Like they get the guns, and yeah, they did show it quite a bit, but at the same time, like every time it cut back, that just made the like battle longer. I mean, like we really got to see like Koba fucking take out a tank. You know what I mean? Like, like it kept like building the suspension because like it like during their fight, like the apes kill shit and then they start getting beat down and then they come back. You know what I mean? Like it's like a long, like it's not just like an apes run through them type deal either. So that's kind of where my mind's going, but it extends that out because that's the only time. I mean, like because war we'll get into like there's not like a. Unless I'm forgetting something, but like Rise, you have the big like ape versus human thing for like a long time, but it's not like. It's them like going from point A to point B. This one's like Koba's like, no, we're gonna murder your ass. Yeah. Like I got dual wheel guns on a horse. And I'm gonna take out your tank shit.
And I like it,
which is an amazing scene.
I like how they make Caesar the underdog in this one better than they make Caesar Dog the underdog in War. Not to jump ahead, but just because like in War they do the cage thing again, and it's like I get it, but at the same time it's like you just did that in Rise.
Yeah. The thing I will say with that though is I think it kind of reels back in your suspension of disbelief a little bit because you're like not that it's made unbelievable in Dawn because obviously they have like the whole ranks of the army going in guns blazing to a small colony. It makes sense that they were able to win that conflict, but then when they're like at the end of Dawn and they're like, oh, the Marines are coming, in the moment you're like, oh, that'll be nothing, but then like realistically you're like, yeah, a military should be able to take on the monkeys.
The U.S. military, not to go there, but like it's the U.S. military as well.
That's where I'm like, and I get what you're saying with like the whole cage thing again. Yeah, they probably could have found a more interesting way to do that, but it's also like we've got
Woody Harrelson. He does a pretty good job. He's not given like the most to work with, but I think he does pretty good for.
Like he knows about smart apes. He knows about the simian flu, so it makes it a little more interesting. Where it's like
I'm not saying it's not. And like I said, I'm not saying that any of these are bad. I just lined up next to each other. Like I do. Yeah, I do. I agree with the whole underdog thing. It's done better and Dawn. I was just kind of a separate point almost. That was going to be the first thing I said about War. If we're on War now.
No.
Yeah, sure.
I think
the ending of Dawn was good and really badass when he said like war is coming. He he doesn't shut it down. I just say that before. That was really badass because he's just like, all right, let's buck up. Yeah. Let's like kill these motherfuckers.
Yeah. Malcolm's like, they're coming, dude, and he's like, so.
I'm monkey.
That's pretty fucking boss.
Yeah.
And I really like the time jumps at each of them. Like, well, I mean, there's only been 2 sequels, but we know the next sequel has a time jump as well. I like that they're not just like, and then right after this, they're like, no, this is we're telling you the most important parts of the story. You know what I mean? And I like that a lot.
There's probably a bigger time jump between Rise and Dawn than there was Dawn and War, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a time jump, but
but I do like that in War. They're not just like. Then the military shows up. They're like, they're in a war now, and they show that. And
wars aren't one battle either, so.
And it's cool. And I remember at the start of War, I was kind of like, obviously on the ape side, but it's like, realistically, they're not winning this. So then when like the humans do kind of win, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like it makes sense that the military comes in and then I really like when they reveal that like other humans are coming and it's more a war between them than it is between like humans and apes, because then it's like, okay, because you can't really have this one end in like an actual war between the apes and the humans, because like and making it more about like, we're just we'll let them kill each other and we're just gonna survive. Like it makes sense and it kind of completes Caesar's arc, you know.
And it is kind of like, the humans have been somewhat aligned throughout this. They wouldn't take this well. You know what I mean? Like, there would be such a big split even within the military itself. Right. Like, this is like fucking world-ending virus and monkeys. Like, you got dealt 2 final bosses at the same time. Yeah. So it is kind of, whenever he does, he's like, I'm not on, like, the human side, like, the big human side. You're like, what? Like, man, you seem like a prick. You probably would be like, I have enough power to do this. Yeah.
So. I like Woody Harrelson in 3. I think what 3 is lacking on the human side is just more characters.
What about Crossbow Guy? Kidding. That's literally why they gave him Crossbow Guy.
I think they sacrificed that with having Donkey.
Yeah, they have a couple different.
Because I think they wanted to explore that idea, and I think that is a good idea. Some of the monkeys were
right,
which is like
it's not a not smart strategy.
Yeah, to be honest, like if I'm a monkey, like that's not a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Like just be like,
yeah.
But I think they definitely went for that, and I thought maybe I'm dumb idiot stupid person, but like I thought like the crossbow guy, I thought he was gonna turn on Woody Harrelson like the whole movie. Like that's the vibe I got from him, and then when he didn't, I was like,
he's just that scared. Maybe what he's trying to portray.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like he's fearing Woody. Or I don't know.
There was like as soon as like Caesar was like, "You've killed like your own men before," like it cuts to his face, and he's just like, "Oh shit!" Like I thought that was gonna be like the moment where it was like he was gonna turn on Woody.
Yeah. See, because we can't even like Dawn and Rise both had like a wider range of human characters, and I get like kind of the point too is like there's less humans, more apes.
Planet of the Apes.
And it makes sense. I'm just saying like maybe even just 2 human soldiers on Woody Harrelson's side, because like as far as we know, Woody Harrelson runs camp there, and all the humans follow him. Like that's really all we're shown. And I think the strength of Dawn is like when it cuts back to the humans and there's conflict among the humans, it keeps it interesting, and it makes it interesting when they do like the apes and the humans fight each other, because you're like, oh, I know not all the humans are for it. Like they don't know the whole story or this.
I think it would have been really interesting if they would have made it to where like somehow, because like they run into like kind of a soldier outside, like before they get captured, like the soldier that was with the daughter or whatever, and he was like dead or whatever.
He like abandoned or
yeah. But I think it would have been interesting if like somehow like they knew that like the humans were gonna go at each other before getting captured, and then that was like kind of like their plan from the get-go. I think that would have been really interesting, where they could have been like, okay, let's just like wait it out, play the long game, survive. Like I think that would have added like a super interesting element, because like this whole time, like, I don't know, it just feels like it's like the third movie, it feels like it's a really dumb and like lazy mistake for like Caesar and those guys to make, just to like get captured like that. It's like that's not characteristic of Caesar. And I guess that's the point, because like he's
becoming Koba, and he knows he's led his people
and stuff. Yeah. But like I'm just like, I don't know. Like it's tougher to believe. Like I think it'd be more interesting for like it'd be like more like talked about between like him and his, I guess, crew, being like, I'm vengeful, yada yada. Yeah. And then like maybe getting captured. Or I don't know.
One thing with the characters as well, because we talked about how they introduced Donkey, and like that kind of gave like a new perspective, and like not as many human. This, as far as I remember, has the most individual, unique monkey characters. Right? He has his little group. They have the funny little bald one. They have Maurice, who's an OG, but like he like kind of gets like his own thing. They have the daughter who, to an extent, has kind of her own deal going on, and then they have Rocket. You know what I mean? Like, and then they have the son isn't much of Caesar's son, which is another point towards that. Like, why the fuck do you leave your son? But the chick who he runs into there, or he gives like his son to, like she's a character. You know what I mean? So I feel like there is a wider range.
Wife or something?
It's Blue Eyes.
Blue Eyes.
Blue
Eyes wife.
But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like overall the amount of characters are the same. You know what I mean? Like, and because I agree, like, oh, they're like, because I mean, you look at the next one, from what we understand, there's going to be probably one human that really fucking matters. Like, the rest of them are going mute, which I think is not to keep going on, but them going mute, I do like, because I remember hearing people being like, what the fuck? That's weird. That is just something that happens in the originals, is the virus does do that. When they blow each other up, like, eventually, the virus, it doesn't, but like, the humans, like, evolve out of like talking in the originals, and then later on you learn it was a virus. So it is kind of like, that seems like a jump, like, what the fuck? They just can't talk. But it's like, oh no, they just drew that from the original, and it makes sense for the story.
Yeah, it does.
You know?
Yeah. There is more characters probably in general in this one. My thing is just like,
I get the humans though. Yeah,
the human thing. It's still playing such a large part in the story. I just feel like having just like some other characters with speaking lines like human, because there are, but like other named human characters. You know, like Woody Harrelson is good, but just having like just that one perspective. Because even in Caesar's circle with like just Maurice and Rocket, like there's different perspectives within that, and that's what like Dawn is so strong, because it's so complex. Like there's so many different perspectives, and it's like, I'm loyal to Caesar, but like they shot my kid. Like it's interesting, and I just feel like there is that within the apes this time. But yeah, I think just
This one is more like you see the humans, you're like, oh, you're failing. Like, you know what I mean? Rise, you're like, oh, like the humans are dominant. And then like, oh, okay, you maybe coexist and there's a virus or whatever. And then Dawn, they're kind of building their way back. You have hope for like, oh, they can like live together maybe at the end or kind of just go their separate ways. But in this one, like the human you get, like the humans in general, all of them you get are like broken down. It's been 50 years. You know what I mean? Like they're like, nah, fuck you. Like I'm done with this shit. My kids got to be able to live here. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it is kind of like the perspective's changing, I think, because of the time jump as well. I don't know if I'm going right into kind of what you were saying, but
that's why I think I wish like the apes kind of realized that a little bit more. Like I think that would have been a little bit cooler. They're like the humans are gonna like get themselves killed. Like this is we just need to outlive them. And I think that would have been like,
even if it was just one of the apes within the circle that was like, Caesar, consider this. Yeah. Then it just adds a little bit more complexity.
Because they also, do they know about nuclear weapons? Do they know they can take each other out? You know, well, no, I'm not saying like they need to use them, but like, do they know that the human race is capable of like wiping? Like they know they're bad, but like, what is their extent of knowledge? Like they're probably like, oh, they'll do it, and then they'll come like more guys with guns is what they're thinking. Like the first time Koba saw a tank, he kind of saw how it worked, but like he's always like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Like they are like monkeys at the end of it, so they're like learning, but they're learning from the bottom. You know what I mean?
It would have been interesting to see like a monkey that had like seen like humans like disagree and like been like, hey guys, like the humans are gonna kill each other, like type shit.
Their only perspective is humans will kill us. And so whenever they hear about these humans, the big military coming, they're like thinking like, oh, more horses. You know what I mean? Like they don't have this like perspective of like, you know, they can know like they got some fucking stealth bombers that'll like take out like your entire state in a second.
That's why I think like them knowing like the humans would kill each other and that they just needed to outlast it. I think that would have been interesting. That would have made it like to where like whenever Caesar does like get the rest of the apes like food and water, you're like, holy shit, that was clutch. Like that would have been like a very like good midpoint where he's like, let's fucking go. Like they might actually do this. That makes it a little bit more interesting rather than it's just like, oh, we don't know if they're gonna make it out of this. It's like we know they're gonna make it out of it. Like I just think adding that extra layer could have been pretty interesting.
I think so too. Maybe even if it was the bald monkeys, like because he obviously came from a different background. If he was like, humans will kill each other, and Caesar was kind of like, oh, like even if you just saw like a hint of that in the back of Caesar's mind,
he could have like convinced Caesar like, hey, they're gonna like kill each other, like that'll give you your chance to get your revenge on the Coma. Like you can get him one-on-one. Like maybe he convinces Caesar like that.
Or even if like you don't see that Caesar is convinced until after he gets captured and you're like, huh, that's kind of like out of the ordinary, and then it's like, no, like I was just trying to be with my people so I can get them out, and then he kills it, whatever, then it's like, oh, that's clutch. Not to hate on it.
No, yeah, I get you. Because the only thing, like, because I mean, like, I completely get what you're saying, not like arguing with it, but like I'm trying to like what would be like the ape's background to have known that? If someone like when they made this movie, like they have to think like, well, where did this ape get this? Not, you know what I mean? Like the closest ape that would have any idea would be Donkey. I mean, like no apes in any sense of like the world or history have like worked with humans in a way that they would know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And again, like I'm not disagreeing, but I'm trying to like think about like how, like what would that ape have previously heard, known, or what? Because even if you heard in on like Woody Harrelson, like, yeah, we're going to drop bombs on him. He's like, are you gonna drop bombs? You know what I mean? Like their extent of knowledge, like they are like so stupid smart, but like they're also like it's like Amish. So I don't know. That's like a weird thing.
They're not like educated.
Like they could get there very easily. Like and they will eventually. Obviously, we're getting more movies, but
no, I get that.
That's my only thing, maybe. But yeah.
I do
I get
like
what you guys are saying for sure.
I do like 3. I think it's just in the same way that Dawn is just like slightly above Rise. I think War is just slightly lower than Dawn, so it's a little bit not like a letdown, but it's like you're kind of on this roller coaster and you're watching the conclusion or whatever to the trilogy. And then it goes down, even though it's just a little bit. You're like, oh, and
it's still like a little anticlimactic a bit. Like
I think like story wise, thematically, it's still like it ends in a really strong place. Like Caesar said, and I think it does still have like just about everything that you're looking for. It's definitely on par with the other ones. You just kind of, at least me, it's like in my head, I'm like, oh, I wanted to up the ante a little bit. I wanted to have like a big climax, and
because it definitely doesn't. Like them like climbing up some trees isn't like it's a really cool moment, but like it's also like. This doesn't really.
It's not as big as a moment of the
dropping
previous 2.
Dropping Koba, being like, "You're no ape." Like it doesn't up the ante from there.
Yeah,
but
it's still a really solid movie, and as a whole, it completes the trilogy, and the trilogy as a whole is like really fucking solid.
Which is more like the story of Caesar. Like, you know what I mean? It is like the child of this is like this. Which that's one thing I was going to ask you. Like, did you expect Caesar to like die?
Well, that is one thing. Of all the scenes in this,
you saw a spoiler.
I had seen the very last scene. I had randomly I had seen the scene of Koba killing the 2 guards. Like
that was pretty big.
I had seen that scene before. I had seen I'd seen the scene of Caesar dying. I had seen. I want to say I'd seen another one from Dawn, I think.
Because I mean, they've been out. 2011 is the first one,
right? Like I've seen clips and stuff. Like
because I think it was like the perfect ending for Caesar. Because it's like the last visual he ever gets is seeing like they're free and safe.
Yeah,
I did this for my people. I can. It's the Iron Man. It's Pepper saying like you can rest now. Well, and you know what I mean? Like you accomplished your goal.
And even the dialogue between Caesar and Maurice in that last scene is just like it's beautiful.
Yes, he's been there since the beginning. Maurice is like the closest to an OG.
Yeah,
the only one he could talk to.
Yeah, fucking awesome. They're all really good movies.
Yeah. I said we should rate them all out of 10.
Just rank the 3.
Or maybe that's it.
I'm going to go 2, 1, 3 probably for enjoyability and quality.
Yeah. I think for enjoyability, I might have 1 more tied with 2 just because, like I said, maybe it's a personal thing. But
the uprising is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
all those moments packed in one.
I think that's more of a fuck yeah moment than like any moment in 2 where it's just like whenever they're starting to be like starting to take over.
That's fair. I couldn't argue with that really.
So for quality, I go 2, probably 1, 3 as well. Yeah. Enjoyability wise, see, I don't know what the quality, because the enjoyability wise, I think I for sure go 2, 1, 3. But I'll go 2, 1, 3 on each of them. I'll do that. Yeah. This isn't a test. I forget I don't have a grade.
They're all like neck and neck. It's like 0.5 within each other.
I'd say like at the lowest I'd rate one of these movies is 8 out of 10, if not 8.5 out of 10. Maybe I'm a little biased because these are some of my favorite. I would be like big CGI shit. This is always my niche.
I'd say 8.5, 8.
I give Dawn a little higher, but like I said, I may have a little more. I'd probably go like 8.5, 9, and then 8.
Yeah, maybe.
I give Dawn. I think Dawn scratches that, maybe 9.5, but that may be a little bit of like I've saw it, like, you know.
Maybe. Yeah,
you just watched them, so.
Yeah, maybe I'm just pessimistic because like you guys did a hype up Dawn.
Yeah.
Like, not saying it didn't meet like the standard, but you guys set a pretty high bar.
Yeah. I mean,
you were setting that bar for the first time we saw it when it was in theater. You know what I mean? Like, so like going into it,
I get
that was our perspective.
I get why you guys did.
It opens with the eyes. You're like,
we saw it in theaters in high school and formative years of our lives.
Yeah.
And then and now like when we rewatch them, we're like, yeah, this shit still holds up. So we're like, yeah, these movies are fucking awesome. So
and especially the time span they did them in. Like that's one thing. Like going back is like it's 2011, 2019, 8 years. It's like they didn't just do the every 2 year thing. You mean they like, which is probably why the CGI looks so fucking amazing. But
they're pretty
best CGI ever, up until that point for sure. Besides Avatar, maybe. But
they're pretty consistent too. Like really consistent tonally, story. Like there's really even in 3, there's not like a comedic character, or it's not lighthearted at all. Like the one monkey has some funny moments in 3, but it's not even.
He serves as a map more than anything.
Yeah, he's not making jokes. He's just his knowledge is different and it's funny to us.
Yeah.
But it's not. Yeah, he's not making jokes. So like to have them all be like so tonally similar between like 2 different directors in 8 years, like. That's really impressive. And to all be like written so well and just have so many epic moments and good acting and yeah.
Is it what's a better trilogy? Is Back to the Future the only one? Because we can argue on that third one. Name the better trilogy. Am I wrong? I mean, I may be wrong. You know, that's a big claim I haven't thought about. But like
better than Back to the Future. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm saying is, like, if you were to throw those 2 up against each other, I think you could pick apart Back to the Future as the weakest out of all 6 of those movies, with Back to the Future Part 3.
Yeah.
If you had to pick it, but I know Back to the Future has all the years, and not Back to the Future 3 still rocks.
Like comparing the trilogies?
Yeah, if you were to, I feel like you're like, okay, well, which out of all 6 of those has the weakest movie? And like I said, I haven't thought about this at all. I just thought it would be a good topic for the podcast. I mean, but Part 3.
Back to the Future is such a.
I'm still like processing the question. I'm like. Okay, yeah, Back to the Future. What happens in those movies?
Yeah.
And that's hard because like that's a trilogy, like it's kind of like a Star Wars where it's like that was like the first kind of like big time travel type shit.
Yeah. But
So
take that out of it is what I'm saying. Like, does it
take that out of it? Then I'd say these are better. Yeah, for sure.
But I'm just trying to think of like any, not even just Back to the Future, just the first one that came to mind. Like, because this might have like a good grip for me on like, yeah, no, like there's no other like 3 movie saga that like does it this tight. There's no plot holes. It's all badass. The CGI, like the second one, Dawn, they created a new type of technology to make the apes look wet. You know what I mean? Like it's nuts. Like the movie starts off and they're immediately so proud of it. They're like, check this shit out.
Yeah.
We got 12 of them.
That's what I was about to say. Like this might like you can make a case that this is more impressive than the Avatar CGI wise. Well, let me explain myself.
No, I get you.
Because Avatars, it's like they're aliens. We have no frame of reference
That's
of
true.
what that would look like. Like, cause like it could like slip up a little bit, and like we wouldn't bat an eye because they're aliens.
An alien looking odd is normal.
Yeah.
Right. Trying to make a monkey look realistic, something we have a frame of reference for that we can Google a picture of a monkey.
Even just making them talk is a very.
Have you seen the trailer? Or we'll talk about that. The trailer for Kingdom. I'm talking on the same thing, but have you seen the trailer for that? Kingdom? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way they talk in that is like, I remember because like hearing them talk at the beginning, I'm like, oh, I'm fucking hyped. And everything, and like they're completing full sentences, like they're flowing through the, because it's been like that long and everything. And then like cuts to the ape. I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot, like these are the apes. Like it felt like it was a human talking, like, and they were going to be narrating. Yeah. But like just even the evolution, that's what I like about these movies is they never make the jump. Even Caesar is kind of, you know, like he puts his like sentences, very good at speaking, but he like has to, you know.
It takes effort, you know.
Yeah, and not all of them are speaking, which is good because they can do that in the future. Like, you know what I mean? Like 300 years, they have this new trilogy planned out. By the end of that, we're probably gonna have time jumps between those two, not huge ones, but like
I like that their evolution is like very emphasized, but it's still like it's a process.
It's natural. It doesn't feel forced. It's like, no, I mean, for this odd, I mean, you could have pulled off They Can All Talk Now, but like it makes it feel like you are looking at the big picture rather than like, oh, we're going to make this money on this next one with this trailer scene, you know?
Yeah.
Good movies ever been going on.
Yeah. We're gonna go see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And we're gonna do a review on that soon. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Thank you guys for listening. All right. Peace.
Peace.